All right, welcome everyone to Mechanic Physics. I'm really excited you're here. Over the next few months, we're essentially going to build a blueprint together. It's going to be our guide to understanding the hidden rules that govern pretty much everything around us. So let's just dive right in.
It all really starts with some pretty simple questions, right? Why does an apple fall down? How in the world does a satellite stay locked in orbit, zipping around the Earth? And how can a spinning top seem to just defy gravity? Well, these are exactly the kinds of puzzles that mechanics helps us solve.
And that's where this course comes in. It's designed to be your guide through all of that. I want you to think of it just like a blueprint, a really detailed plan, one that's going to give you the tools and the know-how to see the hidden architecture of the entire physical world.
Okay, so let's actually take a look at that blueprint. What are we going to build this semester? Let's break it down piece by piece.
So we're going to start with the absolute basics, motion. This is really the language of how things move. Then we'll get into the fun stuff, forces and Newton's laws. That's the why behind the motion. From there, we'll tackle two really crucial concepts, energy and momentum. And to wrap things up, we'll dive into the kind of rhythmic world of oscillations. It all fits together beautifully.
But look, this course isn't just about memorizing facts and formulas. It's about you mastering a set of mental tools. Seriously, these are skills you're going to carry with you long after this semester is over, no matter what you do.
Now, formally, we call these course learning outcomes, or CLOs for short. But please, don't just think of them as some boring checklist. I want you to see them as a promise. This is what you'll actually be able to do by the time we finish this course.
So what does that mean? It means by the end of all this, you'll be able to explain the core ideas with real confidence. You'll be able to take a theory and actually apply it to solve a problem. You'll learn to look at a physical situation and analyze it kind of like a detective. And all of this is going to sharpen your critical thinking. And listen, these aren't just physics skills. These are life skills. You can use this stuff anywhere.
So, how are we going to build all this knowledge? Well, you don't build a skyscraper from the roof down, right? We're going to do it systematically, floor by floor. We'll lay a super solid foundation before we even think about building on top of it. So here's what our journey is going to look like. First up, step 1, the foundation. This is all about motion and forces. Once that's solid, we move to step 2, adding the structure. That's where we bring in energy and momentum. And finally, step 3, we'll get into the more advanced systems like oscillations. See how that works? Each part builds directly on the one before it.
Of course, every good construction project needs quality control, right? You got to check the work as you go. So let's talk about how we're going to check your progress. And I want to be clear, assessment isn't here to stress you out. It's just to make sure your understanding is strong and, built to last.
All right, so how's your grade actually calculated? Let's take a look. Now, yeah, the final exam is a pretty big chunk at 40%, but look at everything else. You've got a test at 30%, a project at 20%, and quizzes making up that last 10%. All of that together is the majority of your grade.
So here's the really important takeaway. A massive 60% of your final grade comes from continuous assessment. What does that mean? It means your steady, consistent effort throughout the whole semester is what really counts. This is definitely a marathon, not a sprint.
And let's be super clear about what it takes to pass. There are two simple rules. First, you need to get at least 20% on your total coursework. Second, you also need to get at least 20% on the final exam. You have to meet both of those requirements to pass the course. Simple as that. Okay, we've talked about the blueprint, we've talked about the materials, but you know who the most important person on any construction project is? It's the architect. And in this course, that's you. So let's talk about your role and what's expected for you to be successful. Okay, rule number 1, and this is a big one. You gotta be on the construction site. We have a minimum attendance requirement of 80%. And I have to be blunt here, if you fall below that, you will not be allowed to sit for the final exam. It's really that important. And we have this rule for a good reason. The collaboration, the discussions we'll have, just being here and being part of it, it's a huge part of the learning process. Your presence is genuinely a fundamental part of the plan. But what's the real key to success here? Well, it might not be what you think. Yeah, showing up and participating in class is important, for sure. But the real work, that happens when you're on your own. Get this, over 74% of your total learning time in this course is expected to be independent. The reading, wrestling with the practice problems, just the thinking you do outside of class, that is what will make all the difference. Okay, so let's bring this all together.
Look, the goal here is not just for you to pass a class. Not at all. It's for you to build a totally new layer of understanding, one that you can apply everywhere. It's about connecting what we learn right here in this classroom to the world out there.
Because I promise you, this isn't just abstract theory from a textbook. The principles we're going to study are the exact same ones that govern the flight of a baseball, the stability of a massive skyscraper, the orbit of the planets. You're about to learn the operating system of reality itself.
So here's my challenge to you for this semester. Go beyond just memorizing formulas. My real hope is that by the end of all this, you'll just start to see the physics in everything. Welcome to the journey, everyone. I honestly can't wait to get started with you all.